Alright, so we're going to do a little bit of an update video. If you see, I got the hood on now. Don't mind the John Deere green. That's not staying. I just did that because it kept rusting. So this truck's going to be a totally different color, probably, when I'm done with it. And yes, I have a new grill. This is just a test grill. It's just a scrap grill that came with the truck. I've got a good one that's not smashed on this side. I put a new marker light on and all that good stuff. I kind of braced this up a little bit, filled in the little gaps where the wiring harness came through the firewall and up around the top of the grill. So I gotta straighten all that up. You know, it's getting there, but there's a few things that, well, one big thing that I didn't realize when I was doing it. It's not a big deal because, I mean, I could always take the hood and hood hinges off to fix this problem. It's not a huge problem. It's just, it bothers me. And you know, if you look right here, when I started this thing up, when I started doing this, I hacked the crap out of the fenders. Like, I was like, okay, I'll just make filler panels. I'll just cut it to where I know it'll fit, and then I'll come back later, which made a lot more work for myself. Because I've got both sides here that I need to fill because they're, you know, gone. You know, it's not all smooth like Nathan's garage where the contour here is perfectly contoured with this little piece here. But the thing is, if you look, if I remove the hood, I don't know if you can see it or not in video, but this, I know I'm not holding the camera good, but this part right here where it mounts, look right here, see how it's kind of squished right there where the bolt is, where that plate is? It's squished right here when I tightened it up all the way. And I think what it is, you know, the hinge, when you close the hood, is moving because this is not boxed. You see how flimsy it is, right? And that's holding this giant hood on. So what I would suggest doing before you get to this point, because this hood is a pain to get off and back on. The only person I have here helping me is my wife, and she's a little bitty, so she can't really pick this thing up. So it's a pain in the butt to do that. But I'm gonna have to do it probably at some point because I'm gonna fill these fender gaps in down here. But what I'm gonna do is probably take some of that 1/2-inch square tubing I have and run across, like from here to here on the inside, like front and back, and weld it in, and weld a plate across the bottom of that to reinforce it some. And then probably at some point I'll add to the bottom of this with something. I don't know if it's going to be metal or if it's going to be, you know, ABS or something like that. I'm not sure yet. I mean, it's, you know, this is kind of a redneck thing anyway. I mean, it's not like it's going to be a show truck, but that flimsiness makes me nervous. I thought about making something that like would bolt in here and go up and bolt into the firewall like just a cross brace, but the way this hinge comes down, it would have to be way down here, so it would go all the way across, which I guess it would be okay, but I don't think it's gonna. Or I guess I could mount somewhere on the back of the hinge back here, but I don't think that's the smart way to do it. I think that's a shortcut way to do it, and just to be safe and to make things, you know, easier down the road. If I ever decided to sell it, somebody's not going to look at that and go, what the hell is that? Why did you leave that open like that? You know, I'm just going to fix that. I did fill in the front of the firewall. Yes, I'm not a great welder. Yes, a lot of that is spot welded, but it's also welded on the other side as well, and I'm going to put some seam sealer in there to fill that in. Right here where that little vent is, for the air box or whatever, for the, you know, the blower box or whatever you want to call it. What I did was, I don't know if we can see it from here, but that piece, if you look, it kind of curves in and kind of like has a little plate on the inside. Yes, it's open at the bottom. I did the best I could, but I kind of made an angle in to kind of block some of that air from going around it. And then on this, I stepped this out to go around the harness for the wipers, because what I did was I went in here, and this is some redneck stuff, so you guys are gonna, you can either use this or not. I mean, it's whatever y'all want to do, because this is, like I said, I'm not a welder, I'm not a fabricator. This is the first time I've had a welder. This is the first time I've ever done anything with metal. I'm learning as I go. But if you're better than this at this than I am, then maybe this will give you some ideas and you can do it better than me, and it'll work out for you. So what I did in here, because I'm using the truck dash. I haven't fitted the dash yet. I did notch the sides of the firewall right here for the Vic, because what I'm going to do is that little side piece. He always does that. That little side piece of the dash, you know, you have to cut the dash out of the truck. I mean, I know everybody knows that now. I didn't know that. But you can see where the side of the dash comes across and goes down. And if you look at the side plate on it, there's a hole there, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to notch the side of the dash down and around, down to the bottom and here. And then I'm going to have to take some off the bottom of the dash to clear back in here. And then, of course, you know, notch the middle of the dash and stuff that sits right here. So pretty much, you can kind of see I've kind of done some rough sketching on that. I'm going to have to cut most of that out on the side and that on the bottom. And then I'm going to have to go over. I know it's upside down, but I'm going to have to, what I'm probably going to do is cut down the middle here to keep this little, you know, see how it is on this side? I'm going to try to cut this piece out. I just realized there's a tab there, so that should be easy to cut out. Okay, well, I learn something new every day. I think I'm going to cut this tab, take this curved piece out, and then I might cut it in half. I don't know, I'll have to look at it, because I've got to cut it down to here to fit over the Crown Vic steering column, because it's so wonky and ginormous. So I'm going to figure something out with that. My idea was cut this in half, take this curved piece, weld it back in on this side so it looks uniform, and that'll help me kind of with a line of sight to get a straight line through here. And then that little piece that sits over this, that little cap or whatever, if I can make it fit, I'll make it fit. If not, it'll just be open. But you kind of see what I'm talking about. I have to cut this out, and then there's ends that I'm going to have to notch to set the dash back in here. And what I'm going to do, instead of welding it back in, I'm going to put probably just a couple of tabs, you know, maybe about, you know, a quarter of the way down, weld in a tab, quarter of the way down, weld in a tab, and then put one in the middle with a bolt welded to it. And then probably mount some little tabs coming off here out that I could just unbolt and bolt the dash in. I'm going to get some of that door edge trim, that black door edge trim, that real thin door edge trim, and go around the end of the dash where it meets up to this and try to make it look a little bit nicer. But that's what I'm gonna do with that. I'm gonna probably have to do something here with self-tappers. I know it's redneck, but it'll work. Go in from the side, self-tapper, 1, 2, 3 tabs with bolts welded to them to be able to remove the dash if I need to get to the Crown Vic wiper motor, which is some crazy high value engineering, freaking, you know, Harvard scholar, not really welding. So if you see that, all I did was I cut the arm or the little shaft off of the original F100 wiper motor. I got it as even as I could. It still kind of does this a little bit when it turns, but it works. All right, and I know this looks janky, but just hear me out. So that little piece there, so I welded those two pieces together. Then I took some scrap metal that looked like some toothpicks and welded it across top to bottom on this side and welded the crap out of it. Now, the only problem that you're going to run into with that situation there is if this motor ever goes bad. I mean, you're going to be able to take it out. I'm going to make a little plate over this somehow. It's not, look at this crap. I mean, it's The reason I put these things on here is because it does move a little bit, and these give it a little flex. These are welded in all redneck and then bolted into this thing and whatever. So you'll be able to pull this out if it ever goes bad. And this one right here, it kind of is bad because when you turn the switch on, it turns on by itself. It's got whatever that problem is, where there gets moisture in here or whatever it is. So it already is having issues. So what's going to happen is at some point, this is going to have to come out. I'm going to have to cut this again and weld it onto a new wiper motor. Now, I didn't think about that before I did all this. Because, I mean, the wiper motor is only like 50 bucks. I should have bought one. I didn't think about it. I didn't think anything was wrong with it. And then all of a sudden, you turn the switch on. Every single time the switch goes ignition or accessory, it turns the wipers on for a couple of turns and it goes back off. So it's got a mind of its own right now. So I should have replaced this. Now, if I can get a cheap replacement, like a Chinese brand off of like Rock Auto or something for like 30 bucks or something, I might just get this, and if it's the same shell, maybe try and well, I don't know. I was gonna say take the shaft out of this one, but it's not gonna come out because of that welded stuff on the other side, so that's not gonna work. But anyways, if it goes bad, I'll just have to weld the shafts back together. So but that is something to think about. The hood hinges need to be reinforced. I mean, I've never seen anybody else really say anything about it. Maybe they did it and didn't say it. You know, some of the videos, like the Nathan's Garage videos, he said he screwed it into the inner fender from the Crown Vic, and I've got the inner fenders kind of in there, but they're not, they don't run all the way up. They're just enough to support the plastic fender wells. There's not, you know, they're hovering. They're bolted to the firewall and they're hovering right there. They're not screwed into the f100 fenders or anything like that. They're just there, just basically just to hold up the plastic inner fenders. So I did not go that route. I cut as much out of them as I could because I didn't want to have to deal with having, because I mean, I was having issues just getting the fenders set down with all that stuff there. So I cut all of it off that I could. And then let's see, what else did I screw up that I'm gonna have to redo? Okay, you see this side, all right? So this little 2x4 right here, right? You see how it starts on the outside and goes in towards the inside. The first time I welded this all in, I notched this piece here all the way down where it's got like a little lip right here, slid this inside of it, and it was perfectly lined up with the seam all the way down. It was pretty. Welded it in. Had a piece of metal like this sitting under it, welded in, and this set on top, and I welded it across. You know, I did the spot welds like this for the most part, but I welded it across. I was like, oh man, it looks good. Well, the cab ended up not being squared up back here. So it was these little holes right here were what I was using as a reference. I kept the cab off the frame so that it wouldn't bow in or out. And I was using that as a measuring reference point. And I think I measured back to here or something like that, or whatever, something like that. And I kept getting like an 1/8 inch, 1/2 inch off. So I cut it all back out, cut it all back open, mangled this all up again, cut all this back out, and you know, pretty much screwed everything up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this in solid so that it's, I mean, it's still solid now. It's not, I mean, it's structural enough. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish weld the edge of this, grind this down, primer it. But before I do all that, I'm going to take a piece of metal, I think, and try to, because I've got a little bit of metal left over there, try to make like a L, like an angle iron, a piece of angled sheet metal that'll fit in here, so there's a like a smooth seam, so that I don't have to put body filler in the damn door jamb. So there's a nice rounded seam all the way through, welded at the top, welded at the bottom, grind it all down, make it look smooth, and then, you know, go over it with, you know, paint, etch and primer, mud, whatever, I don't know, Bond, I don't know, whatever I've got to do to make it look better. The other side is way worse than this. It's only half, so I have to go back over it. A lot of this stuff was me patching it together so that I could get it solid enough to get it together and then go back through and finish everything out. That was the plan. So it's gonna be sturdy. It's gonna be strong, but it's probably gonna have an extra 50 pounds worth of weld wire and metal on it than it should have. So it's gonna be excessive. That just means it's gonna be stronger. So that's the way I look at it. I'm gonna make sure, all this, it's gotta be safe, you know what I mean? And like I said, I've got the stuff welded in here on front and back, all the way down the door jambs, all the way around. So it's fine. I just got to go through and finish weld everything once I've got everything where it needs to be. I don't want to finish weld stuff, which the cab is centered. It's as good as it's going to get, but I just don't feel comfortable until I know I'm ready to start priming and painting the inside and putting the rubber floor in and all that stuff. I'm not going to, until I get to that point where I'm ready to paint stuff, I don't want to finish weld all this stuff. I want to do that last because I want to make sure that I'm not, off somewhere. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Right now, and another thing, to put that factory dash in, so this is going to have to go. And I know this is a structural point for the steering column, and it's like a safety thing. I know that. So before I get chewed out by anybody, I know this is safety related. It's structural. But the bottom of the dash sits where this red line is. Now I'm going to try and save as much of this as I can. I know for sure from this little piece here all the way down is going to have to go. Now, if you guys have any ideas, let me know, because I'm going to have to take this out too. And this is structural to the dash as well. But the thing is, like, look at that. I mean, it's and that's some kind of control module for like the wipers or the lights or something. So I can't get rid of that. I just have to relocate it. But all this stuff's got to go. And I plan on putting a console in to cover some of this stuff up and figure out how to close in the airbox that I melted the other day. Close this all in and maybe put a console here to hide some of this stuff. That's gonna, that'll hide that. But this is just, that's gonna hang out way under the dash. So if anybody's got any ideas, let me know. I know I'm gonna have to cut that off. And I'm gonna have to cut, sorry, I'm not great with the camera. I'm holding my phone. I'm gonna have to cut this off. So what I thought about doing was, since all right, this is a 15-inch steering wheel, all right? See how close it is? I mean, it's got some room, but my belly's right there. So it's like, and I'm not huge, but I'm not small either. So, and you see how my elbow's bent holding this thing or whatever? So it's it feels a little close. I'm going to get a smaller wheel, probably like a 14 or 14 and a half for it. But you can't really do a flat wheel to get it away from you, because that's going to be in the way, for one. So you can slide your hand between that now. So you have to have either a spacer with the adapter or a dished steering wheel. And also, look how close that is. So you put one hand in, you've got a little bit of room. So you've got a little room on this side to play with, but not on the other side. So think about that if you're going to put a steering wheel on one of these. But what I thought about doing was, you see this little bracket here, right? So that's a steering column bolt, and that's a steering column bolt. Now, I don't know if it's going to cause issues if I do this or not, because it could. I mean, I don't know how much play there is in that column. So what I was thinking is I could start here, like maybe from here to like this flat piece that's kind of got a lip on it, maybe there to there, and well, that's gone now. So maybe here to here, maybe weld something here to there, make up like a piece of steel tubing, like here to here, right? Maybe brace it somewhere and brace this piece, and then just cut all the rest of it off. Sorry, cut all the rest of this off and just be done with it. And that way I can take some shims or something, maybe mount it, maybe mount it higher, bring this up, and then put shims here. That way I can remove shims, add shims to raise and lower the column. That way I can get it away from my stomach and stuff. I know some people have shortened the column, like into the firewall. they've taken like an inch or two out of the column and shortened it. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I don't know. I'm going to look into that a little more, but I don't think that's what I'm going to do. Just bring it up some, because I'm probably going to put a taller seat in here anyway to bring myself up a little higher. So that's just going to make it, you know, closer to my knees. So I need to do something. So I may or may not end up, like I said, making this station like independent of everything else, welding a bracket in somehow, but it's going to have at least two bars, because this is, like I said, this has to be strong. So I'm going to brainstorm on that a little bit. Like I said, if I can keep the top of this, that'll help, which I'm going to try to do. Maybe I can trim this down some, this little lip or something, and then just cut it straight across. I'm going to try to do that first. But like I said, I don't know. If you guys have ideas, let me know, because I'm kind of stuck on that. But yeah, for now, that's kind of where I'm at. So this is going to have a door. I don't know what I did with that. I don't know what that is. Just ignore that. And it's crooked. I know it's crooked, but I was frustrated, and you know, whatever. Don't work on these trucks if you're frustrated, because you'll do stuff like this and make it crooked. You'll get frustrated, you'll just throw it in. Don't do that. If you get frustrated, do like I did a few weeks ago. I quit working on it for a couple weeks. That's why there wasn't a video. I got frustrated, I parked it, I stopped. I was like, look, I need to reset. I need to think about it for a minute and kind of go back and kind of reassess where I'm at and what I need to, you know, just kind of reset. So don't let yourself get frustrated. It's supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be a pain in the butt, but it is. So just keep that in mind. And so that's it for that. The back is still a work in progress. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I don't know if I might leave those wings. I don't know. Nobody's gonna ever see it, but if I know it's there, it's gonna bother me. But now I'm gonna get this video done, because it's like 22 minutes, so I don't want it to be too long. Right now, so I bought a flare tool. I went to Harbor Freight and bought the small one. So if you use a 1.5 inch or whatever to 2.5 inch, like I did, it's not going to touch 2.5 inch. That's where it maxes out at. But my mistake actually ended up helping me out, because the 2 inch adapters, the 2 inch to 2.5 inch, this is not 2.5 inch inner. So this fits flush with this. It doesn't go inside or outside. It's flush. I don't know what the hell, I don't know what I ordered, whatever. You can see where I messed up the last ones. But I got some clean ones now. So what I'm going to do, I took that one flare tool that I had, the small one, the Harbor Freight one that I got. It's a Laguna. The small one's 20 bucks. The big one's 30 bucks. I brought it home, and I used the small one to flare these to fit this, right? So now, instead of them matching flush, they fit like they're supposed to, and they're snug. They're really snug. And I'm probably going to weld inside here a little bit, you know, weld around, and then weld the back. That way I know it's not going to leak. But it just depends. I might just do a test weld and see if it's going to, you know, leave a bunch of crap inside there. But what I did was I used that one and then flared these two out, took it back, paid another 10 bucks. Got that one, which is way bigger than the other one is, to flare out this one. Or if I can get that thick boy right there, that would be better. Flare that out, because the way I'm doing it is I'm going, you know, 2 inch to 2.5. So this goes inside this. This goes inside the muffler. So you've got less restriction and less chance of an exhaust leak, because there's no barrier. It's just going straight through the muffler. That's what I'm trying to do. I want to put this inside the muffler, and that way it's inside, and then out in the muffler. That way, you know, it hopefully won't have an exhaust leak. So that's what I'm going to do now. This video is going to be 25 minutes, and I know that's really long for somebody that doesn't make a lot of videos. So hopefully you guys learned something from this. The next video I'll put up, I'll go ahead and do it today. I don't know when I'll post it. It might be today. I don't know. I'm not a YouTuber, so I mean, I'm not going to wait 2 or 3 days and keep you guys in suspense. If I make a video today, I'll just put it up. But when I get done with the exhaust and stuff, if I have time, I'll try to make a video of what it sounds like. These little flow effects mufflers, I've got 2 of them. So we'll see. But I'm gonna end it there. If you guys have any questions or any advice, just holler at me, because I need all the help I can get. Thanks.